Okay, before you start your water wheel project, you need to know that you can't put anything in a stream in the United States without getting a permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I believe this goes back to the Clean Water Act in the 1970s and has to do with wetland preservation. This is what the water wheel looks like. I first fabricated it. Got to do a little touch up to it, but I figured out something for the axle shaft. Looks like it might work. Definitely is unique. Well, I've got my water wheel hooked up, unplugged the pipe, put the screen back on it. First thing I've noticed with this high flow rate of water, a good portion of it's overshooting the wheel. So I either need to divert it downward or probably as the level drops and the flow drops, it'll be just about right. But right here it is wasting the good water. It's just going right past it. But it seems the bearings and everything on this water wheel seem to be working pretty good. I believe that thing will turn an alternator. I don't know how well those bearings will hold up with all this water and everything. I'll have to come up with some kind of splash guard to put on them. This is, I gotta admit, it works as good as I could have hoped for. Now I'll have to start working on the alternator. The water wheel ran overnight. It looks okay. I guess it's still working. We gotta figure out some sort of generator for it. I can hardly believe the water wheel's still working. It's been probably a couple of weeks. Got ice all around it. Ice on the beaver pond. I can't tell if any of those pieces of flashing have come loose. I guess I should probably stop it at some point and take a look at it. Some pieces of flashing have broken off. I can see them down there in the creek. So I'll have to investigate that. Could be because of the ice. It's really icing up. Well, it's Monday morning on this January 16th. Water wheel's still working, but it's all torn up, as you can see by the metal parts down. Well, my bucket water wheel works. But I'm not sure how efficient it is because it looks like a lot of the water is being splashed away. So I'll have to work on that. But it does have quite a bit of torque. Beavers have about plugged up the pipe entrance too. So I try to grab hold of that pulley and it twists pretty hard. So I think even like this it'll turn the alternator. Keep working with it. I think I can probably trim part of the top part of those buckets off and probably make it a little more efficient. Alright, I started up my new water wheel with a permanent magnet alternator. I've got about a 12 to 1 gear ratio. The wheel's turning about 40 RPM. So, excuse me, not 12 to 1, 6 to 1. So about 240 RPM maybe on the alternator. That's the greenhouse I just put up. Put the charge controller in. We'll go take a look and see if it's generating any power. It is generating something though, because it wasn't, the voltage is a little higher than it was before on that battery. It's probably going to be a little hard to see. .75 watts. Not much. Well, it looks like it's working. I've got a floodlight and a work light attached to an inverter, attached to the battery. And I guess if I let it run long enough, we'll be able to tell whether or not the battery runs down. I believe it's charging. This thing indicates that it's charging. But I just don't know at this point just how well it's working. I just really don't know. This is Sunday morning, 12th. We got down to 19 last night, and the water wheel's iced up really bad. I might shut it down until it gets warmer. Let's take a look at it. It's not good. The pond's frozen. I think we got our entire winter in one day. Blue light's on, so it is charging, even though it's iced up. Although the voltage is very low because we don't have enough RPM. Everything, the voltmeter's got ice on it, the inverter's covered with ice. So, cold weather is not that great for this. It's March 16th. This thing's been working amazingly well. Held up really well. The only problem is the belt. We got one of those Kevlar belts from Tractor Supply. It's coming apart. Looks like maybe it can't stand the moisture. Here it is, April 14th, and this thing is still running. Still generating power. That Kevlar belt's all deteriorated, but it's still turning the alternator. This is my latest water wheel design. I've got it installed and working. It's much larger in diameter than the last one. It's about as much diameter as I can squeeze into that spot. I put a little larger diameter drive pulley on it to help spin the alternator faster. But I still got a couple of issues. One of them is I believe the buckets are dragging in the stream bed, which is slowing it down. I changed the pulley. Today is May 27th, 2012. Changed the pulley, put belt dressing on the belt so it wouldn't slip. Put a little bit larger diameter pulley on the alternator. And that combined with leveling the spillway pipe yesterday, so forth, this thing's doing the best it's done in a long time. We just had a rain. There's a fair amount of water coming through this thing. The water wheel is turning fast. The generator, for some reason on the charge controller, is only indicating 9.9 volts. You can't see it very well, but I've got the permanent magnet alternator being driven by a pulley. Okay, that's the permanent magnet alternator. About a 6-to-1 gear ratio. This is a robot that I made with some deep cycle batteries, another deep cycle battery pack, and some images showing charge controller, single phase transformers, and inverter light, and so forth. We'll get into another video that shows more of the details of how we actually did this. And because there's a lot, it's way too much for a normal YouTube video. We'll have to do that in another separate video. This is the water wheel after rain last night, so it's turning pretty good speed. Solar panel. Solar panel really makes a difference during the day. A little hard to see, but I'm reading 22.45 watts or so. I'm going to unplug the solar panel. I'm reading 3.5 watts. That's with the power coming in from the generator right here, going into the input side of these 3 step-up transformers. The right-hand side of the plug of each of these of the outputs is connected to the input of the charge controller. With no load on here, I got 23 volts. I got about 9.83 volts when it's connected. There's no question that transformers make a difference. They get the voltage up high enough that I actually am able to generate power with just the water wheel, where before the voltage wasn't high enough to charge the batteries. So it looks like a success, even though it looks like a electrician's nightmare. We apparently had a big storm today. I think is the 15th, I think, and it's completely wrecked my Beaver Dam water wheel. The Beaver Dam is washed through, which is amazing, as tough as the beaver dams are. And it's, as you can see, it's this is one of the hazards of putting something in a creek. As you can see, it's just trashed the whole thing. I'll just have to dig it all out of there. But the beaver dam here has just got a giant gaping hole. Amazing. And I had I tried to create a little spillway just in case it got too full, but I must have had a major cloud burst that did this. I don't know. Very disappointing. Well, so much for my new beaver dam. This giant rainstorm has washed out half of it, or maybe a third, I guess. This beaver's going to have to do a better job. I got the water wheel installed yesterday in this other beaver dam. Looks like it's still turning. Pipe's not level though. Got to lower it. Got to mount the generator. Maybe dredge out the creek a little. I need to reinforce this right here. Something in the water making ripples. So far so good. This is my latest water wheel. I just hope the storms don't wash it away. Looks like it's looking pretty good right at the moment, except I got to deflect that water a little more down towards the wheel. Some of it's overshooting and just being wasted. We've had a lot of rain today. You'd think the water wheel would be working good, but the problem is in all that just the water that's filled up at the bottom down there, so the bottom of the wheel is driving in it. Well, all this rain has swamped my beaver dam again. I'm beginning to think it's maybe hopeless. I had built an overflow, but I never had a chance to get up to it. All that work I did last week is gone. We're presently waiting for the beavers to rebuild a beaver dam so that we can continue with this interesting project. We have found, though, that you can tear down a beaver dam manually and they'll build it back again the next day, but when storms wash them out, they don't like to rebuild them in that spot. And so we're just waiting. It was a lot of fun when we were able to do it, but maybe one of these days we'll get a new beaver dam and we can reinstall the water wheel.